I don't think there's anything new, any news coming out. I'm excited for Long Legs, which comes out soon. And the only reason why I'm kind of thinking of current events is because you guys were just filming this 2 days before it posts. So we're like in real time.
Yeah.
Today we are covering 2020's The Empty Man, and not to be confused with Jessica Biel's The Tall Man, which I thought it was. That's why I never saw it. Because have y'all seen The Tall Man?
Mm.
I haven't. I put it on the list after I watched the news story about those little wacko girls killing their friend in the woods.
It's not about
Um,
Slender Man.
oh, I thought that's what it was about.
I did
There
too.
is actually a movie called
Hmm,
Slenderman though too. So
there
Yes,
is.
Lance, we are
Yes,
aware.
we
We're a
know.
horror movie podcast.
well, you didn't mention it. There it is.
Well, but that movie also sucks. But The Tall Man with Jessica Biel, like, spoiler alert, skip ahead 1 minute if you don't want to hear this. It's not about anything. It comes off as like a, ooh, there's something in the woods. It's nothing. It's a human trafficking movie hidden as a monster movie. Which I was like, lame. I don't want to hear about real stuff happening. Hello.
Yeah, this is
Um,
not a Lifetime original, people. So
yeah,
stop trying to
I don't want to
lure the
turn on the
horror audience
news.
in. Exactly. Oh, you know what we didn't mention in news, and I totally forgot. Was
Give it
poor
to me,
Donald
sister.
Sutherland passed away at 88. So
Oh yeah, that
yeah,
did happen.
rest in peace, Donald. We love
Rest in
you.
peace, Mr. Sutherland. Thanks for all the great films and memes you've provided with me.
I know.
R.I.P. Oddball.
Uh,
I know. He was great, though.
yeah.
Okay, so 2020, The Empty Man. Have you guys heard about this before I brought it to your attention?
Yeah, I knew about it back in 2020. One of the old co-hosts on the show was talking about it. He was raving about it. I put it on my list because it was on Netflix for the longest time, and I watched the beginning,
Ugh,
like the
love the
whole
beginning.
prologue,
Loved it.
which by far is the best part of the entire film, in my opinion. But I watched the prologue, and but I didn't have a lot of time for whatever reason. I think I was going out or something. So I was like, oh, I'll save the rest for later, and I never finished it. So this was my. It's 2 hours, so
It's
you
longer
really
than that.
it's
Two
two
and a
hours and
half.
17 minutes. Yeah. So
Ugh.
you really need some time, ladies and gentlemen. Actually take the time so you can watch the whole thing. Because if you don't, then you're just gonna be rushing through it or looking at your phone or whatever. I don't know. I have my thoughts on it, but no, I finally watched the whole thing and now I have thoughts.
Same.
oh, no, actually, I hadn't. Basically, because I think we were talking about it in the comic shop
Yeah.
where we were talking about because it's an actual comic book or graphic novel previous to this movie, so it was kind of like, oh, and then you brought it up, and then you said there was a movie, and I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So that was pretty much it, really.
Yeah. So I don't know if I heard of it or not, honestly, because like I said, I thought it was The Tall Man. So I probably saw the title and thought it was The Tall Man and just ignored it. But it did come out in 2020. I had no idea. I've never seen a commercial for it. I never saw anything. I've seen some people posting about it, how they've enjoyed it and it like really captures a sense of dread and yada yada yada. So I looked it up and I was like, oh, that's not The Tall Man. Well, I need to add that to my list. And then I found out that it was based on a comic book. And then I talked to Lance on one of the comic shops and was like, oh, maybe we should do like a compare and contrast of the movie and the comic book. I started watching it and I was like, OMG, love this. Love that guy. I think he's from the Night House, but he's on a couple other things. He's really hot. Archive 88 or whatever, the blonde guy.
Mm.
He's the he's not the guy who falls in the mountain in the beginning, but the other one. So the hot one. And so watching
Well,
it,
they're both in the Night House.
there's more than one guy in the Night House. I thought it was just
Yeah,
one.
he's the husband. He's the dead husband in the Night House.
Yeah, that's
The
what I'm
the,
talking about.
the one who falls off the mountain.
He didn't fall off. No, no. Oh, sorry. I meant
Oh,
fell in the
later,
crevice.
later. Oh, yeah, the
Oh,
one who falls in
spoiler
the
alert.
hole. Okay, just kidding. No, there are two. They both fall into a thing,
Yeah.
but
Doesn't mean they
okay.
die.
No.
Well, anyways, we're just fucking up the whole movie from the beginning. So he's hot. That's all I know. And so the film is kind of like broken up into four different movies. I saw it a spread out of many nights because I couldn't finish it all in one night. After the beginning happened, I was like, okay. And so essentially, when it was like pick your own movie month, I was like, you know what? I'm going to use this as an excuse to finish this movie, and I'm going to drag y'all down with me.
And did.
Yeah, it was, but there's a reason. There's a reason why it's so nasty. Not nasty, but messy. We have this group of friends that something bad happens to them, but one of them falls into a crevice, and you get to see this is I love this is like the best part of the movie, and it happens like 10 minutes into it. A very large skeleton of something that looks human. Actually, it's behind aid. Something that
Yeah.
looks human but is very big and
Mm-hmm.
strange looking. And I love that. I was like, yes, bitch, more of that. Did we get more of that? No. There's a group of kids because there's this urban legend. Again, I'm also in because I love movies about urban legends where if you go on this bridge and you blow on a bottle, you like summon the spirit of something, something or other, and he comes and gets you. So, what do these kids do? Of course, they do it. And the kids disappear. And the only one that's around is one of the friends. I forgot her name was like Devera or something. That might be her real name.
Devara, yeah.
Yeah. And so he's like, hey, where's your friends? And she's like, oh no. And she's like, we just blew on this bottle. And then they went. The guy's trying to figure out what happened. So the guy decides to go on the bridge and blow on the bottle. So everybody's doing shit that's going to make him die. The movie is essentially figuring out what's going on, which I don't know. Like I said, at least two different movies going on. I feel like there's more.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at it, it's classified as a horror noir, like crime thriller, which I don't even really feel like it's that. I don't really know what this
No.
movie wants to be because it is two separate films from the beginning to the rest of it. And I know they try to connect it at the end, but I still don't feel like it's very cohesive. I feel like the biggest issue with them blowing into the bottle, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? Like, yeah, he blew into something at the beginning, but it wasn't a bottle. It was like a little Native American shaker thing or something. I don't know what the hell he was blowing into. But it like blowing into the bottle to me, everything that this film wants to be, it's basically, you're manifesting these things to happen in real life. Like what you believe long enough in repetition will come true. Okay. And there's a lot of other underlying themes and metaphors. There's all these like backstories of every fucking character, like we have to
Oh
know
yeah.
everything. We know that there's some drama going on with Mr. Lasombra. I could tell right off the bat, oh, your wife and child are dead because you were fucking her while that happened. Like, I'm not stupid. You could
Work.
easily tell. The thing is the film is trying to be so secretive, like you're going to discover these things, but you can pretty much figure out what's happening through the dragging of about 45 minutes in.
Like you get this really cool beginning, like you guys were saying, and then it goes into, hey, we're in regular day life. This guy is, using birthday coupons at a Mexican
Yeah.
place. It's like you get thrust into this guy's life, which is fine. I mean, I've seen movies that do that and do it well, but this just did not play out well. Like Abe was saying, it's all over the place. It just seems like they had so many different ideas, and they're like, let's just shove them together. And then like the poor editing guy was probably like, what do you want me to do with this?
Yeah. It's almost like when someone asks you to work on something for them and you're like, cool, I jotted down a couple ideas. And they're like, perfect, thank you. We'll do all of them. It's like, I don't, that's not what I meant. But also, it might be the consequence of making a movie, making a movie from a comic book. Maybe all this shit happens in the comic and that's why it seems so messy. Because really, like, if this filmmaker wanted to explain everything and go through all that shit, it needed to be a series, a little Netflix 6 episode series.
No,
Mm-hmm.
seriously.
I was reading an article by Megan Varr on Bloody Disgusting, and I love the title off the bat. It said that over long, the empty man fills emptiness with boredom. So just by that title alone, there are so many pockets of nothing happening. And she goes on to say, well, it does offer a new angle on a familiar horror setup, spinning it into an entirely different subgenre in the process. The Empty Man stretches out an underbaked idea to an excruciating degree. A movie with so little to its narrative and characters should never run this long, nor should it have such a sleepy aesthetic or be so messy and convoluted in its mythology. The generic title says it all. The scariest thing about this supernatural entity is how empty and painfully unnecessarily long this movie is.
I mean, it's true. And I think what we're talking about doesn't necessarily make it a bad movie. I think it's just frustrating because, like you said, there are good parts. So it's like,
Mhm.
you know how in Tyra Banks was like, we were rooting for you, we were all rooting for you. Oh,
Yeah.
the frustrating thing is that it had so many, not so many, but it had good, like really good parts. But they
Mhm.
did team too much. So it's like, I was rooting for this movie and y'all just ambitious. But also to explain, I read that the movie was pretty much like first this is the first draft. They're like, here you go. And instead of going in and working and fixing it, they were just like, just put it out. To go into the positives, everything that happens in his house is great, except for his fucking long johns that he wears. But
That was weird.
yeah.
I was
And
like, that's a
so
choice.
yeah, it's like it's not even that cold. Like my mom used to put those on me when I was a kid and it was like freezing outside. But anyways, uh but yeah, so everything that happened in the house, because there's a couple of scenes where he's basically haunted by the empty man at night. Those were cool. The the teenage girl Devera or whatever, when she dies in the shower, that
Mhm.
was kind of cool. But also I don't like the whole like, oh, she did it herself. It's like, we don't need to.
Well, I
Oh yeah.
assume that the empty man is manipulating them to kill themselves. And if we kind of just stuck with that trope throughout the film and just got rid of the fucking cults, I think that could work because it looks like these and we never really see that fleshed out because even the detective is saying this is not right. Like we nobody would do that to themselves, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
And these are young children doing it, or like young kids doing it to themselves. So it's also like, well, why couldn't we just flesh that out? Adding the
Yeah.
cults into it, I think is bringing on a another piece of the puzzle that, like you said, Mikey, I think could work if it was a mini series.
Yeah. I could see, I don't know how the comic series goes, but I could see the cult being big in the comic series. And if they made the movie without it, people would be like, that's stupid. That's like the main third act of whatever, whatever. So it's kind of like a lose-lose situation. But I
Mm-hmm.
also like I also wish I don't mind the way that it ended. I think it ended fine. I kind of liked the ending more than I didn't like it. But all the shit in the middle, like he doesn't need to go to the church thing. He doesn't need to talk to the priest or whatever. Like they could have emptied that. Huh? They could have left that out and just had it end the same with the very quick saw-like flashbacks of there's a cult.
Oh yeah, and have the
Um,
music do 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 do.
oh, I know. Just steal it. Just put it in a different key so it's not copyrighted.
I think if they had just done part one, just in the mountains, we get to know these four people, and then maybe they get back and you see like all the things that are happening, like something else
Yeah,
kind of happens as a result. Great. Part two, we meet Lasombra and his bullshit, right?
yeah,
And then part three, we figure out somebody has to figure out a way to kind of circumvent these things because that I think that the bleak ending could work if I cared, but I don't care. So the
yeah.
fact that it ended, I don't give a fuck. Like I don't care.
Well,
And I
with
really wanted to like this movie. That's why I'm so mad right now. Sorry. With what the empty man looks like now, it looks like just some raggedy ass old lady.
it looks like the Bye Bye Man. Sorry, Jenna.
Yeah, there's nothing. I don't know why they couldn't. I didn't think it was scary when I saw it.
No, not when he was in his like Rob Zombie Halloween 2 get up.
Yeah.
But yeah, like all like also how does that skeleton turn into that thing?
Yeah,
Like,
and it seemed very like I like the black pictures where they try to do that, where it was like black on black, where it like looked like there's a silhouette
oh yeah.
and some of the pictures they had. I thought those were really cool scenes. I thought some of the rain scenes almost were very Exorcist-esque, like and cinematography wise. Like it would look when he was running in the rain and lights and stuff like that. There was
Are you
really, I
saying The
mean,
Exorcist stole from The Empty Man, Lance? After you just said
so
that the gate was copied?
I didn't say it was stolen. I said it was
Just kidding.
like
We have to have one of
like
those disclaimers at
oh
the end. We
oh my god.
apologize for anything coming out of Lance's mouth, ladies and gentlemen.
Lance's
I
opinions do not
apologize for
reflect
nothing.
those of the episode. Ugh, I don't even know what to rate this movie. This is very conflicting for me. Um, I don't know, maybe 2.5 out of 5
I would
is
say
what I
one
would
out
give
of
it.
five,
Ooh,
honestly. And the only
she
reason I
Damn.
said,
give it
"Don't fuck with me." Candyman.
don't piss me off and waste my time and then just have, I don't know what people, because I was reading an article where somebody was saying this movie deserves a cult following, and I'm like,
Does it?
no.
Yeah. This is the only movie that I want an editor's cut, not a director's cut,
Yeah.
because we got that.
Mm.
I need an editor's cut because it could easily be a 3.5 star if we cut out a lot of it.
Yeah.
Because look at Terrifier. I know people disagree with me on this. Terrifier is 2.5 hours long. I loved 2 hours and 15 minutes of it. Because the 15 minutes he was chasing that bitch at the end, I was like, kill her or let her live. Let's go. But look at what Terrifier brings to the screen. Bright red blood and disgusting 10-minute torture scenes. So like you
Yeah.
have to pull out those tricks to keep movies that long engaging. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And most filmmakers realize that. I get that I was looking at David Pryor's, directorial debut. So I don't want to like just shit on somebody who's made something, because obviously, like, kudos to him. Like, we're little indie people. Mikey's, indie films. So does, Doug makes indie films, and we're not on the caliber of making $16 million budget films. However, if you're gonna have that fucking budget, then fucking use it. Where did we use
Yeah.
it here? Because even some of the CGI sucked ass. So I'm just like,
Yeah. Mr. Pryor, the movie, I feel it's not his fault, the fault of the movie. I feel there was no one there to be like, hey, let's, because it's natural for a director to be like, no, I want this in it. No, I want this in it. But the part of a producer's job or executive producer is to be like, this is a lot. Like, we need to. And in some of the things I was reading, they were like, just get it out. And it seems like because they were going through the merger, they felt maybe it was better to just take the loss than to try and improve it, like the resources they would need to improve it. So that sucks for him
yeah.
because, like I said, this could have been a good movie. If you'd like access to monthly exclusive Patreon reviews and some sweet perks, find us at patreon.com/slasherspod. Red Buble. If you're the kind who likes to wear your support, you can find us at Redbubble at slasherspod.redbubble.com. Instagram. If you'd like to follow us, feel free to do so on Instagram at slasherspod or mutant goons from beyond. If you want to complain directly to one of us and tell us how wrong we are, typically it's Lance, you can find us individually at pathologically ADE for obviously aid, me, Horn Halfshell, Lance at Zombie VS Hate, or Doug at Doug Bizarro. But, as Doug likes to say, if you're a boomer and Facebook is more your style, you can catch us on our Facebook group at Mutant Goons from Beyond. We also have a Slashers Pod page if you want to check that out. I don't know what it does, but it's there. And then, of course, please support B-Movie TV as well. You can catch Doug on Friday Night Action and Yahira on Saturday Night Terrors, only available on Roku. You should invest in it. As always, we rely on the support of our listeners. We want to give a special shout out to our amazing Patreon members: Josh Gunn, Austin Proctor, Dinosaurs Will Always Be Awesome, Lorene Ellis, Kevin Leamy, Vladimir Luis, Johnny Miller, Can, and Leslie Thurman. Head on over to Patreon, join the likes of these amazing folks, and you can have some really fun stuff coming up because we got ideas. Lance and I are also going to be in California July 25th for Midsummer Scream. So if you're in the Long Beach area and you want to come say hi, give us a shout. We'll probably be hanging out at the B-Movie TV booth with Doug and Yahira, but we'll also be traipsing around. Well, Lance will be traipsing around if you want to have a 3-hour conversation about why grass is green or something. If you want to just, take really hot pictures with me, you can find me there as well. With that said, thank you everybody for listening. We hope you enjoyed the episode. We'll be back to you next week with Doug's... Yes, Doug is next. Doug's pick. So that's going to be all right. I apologize in advance for picking a movie that's over 2 hours long. I will not make that cardinal sin again. Thank you, guys. Love y'all so much.
Bye.
Oh, yeah.
Bye.
Goodbye. Don't die.
Bye.
Hey. Hey there, Looney Goons, and thanks for tuning in to today's video cast. As a reminder, you can catch the full review on your favorite podcast aggregator at Slashers Podcast. Also, every other Wednesday, keep an eye out for the Comic Chop, where we review new and old horror comics and all things nerdy, only available on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram at SlashersPod. Stay spooky.